The Calthrine hunting ground stretched across the northern continent of Vex 7, a sprawling wilderness where the galaxy's apex predators trained their young. Anna had been warned a dozen times not to wander beyond the research station's perimeter. The Calthrine were 7-foot-tall feline warriors, whose ancestors had conquered 12 star systems before humanity had even discovered fire. They tolerated human researchers on their world, but tolerance had limits. She found the cub behind a cluster of crimson ferns, its silver fur matted with blood. "Oh no," Anna whispered, dropping to her knees. The young Calthrine couldn't have been more than 3 cycles old, roughly equivalent to a human 5-year-old. Its golden eyes were wide with pain and fear, a deep gash torn across its shoulder. The cub's translator collar was damaged, sparking intermittently, but its whimper needed no translation. Anna's hands moved on instinct, years of xenobiology training taking over. She pulled the emergency medical kit from her pack, her fingers steady despite her racing heart. "It's okay, little one. I've got you," the cub tried to growl, a pitiful sound that broke her heart. Calthrine cubs were taught from birth that weakness meant death, that accepting help was shameful. But pain and blood loss had stripped away its pride. It collapsed against her as she worked, cleaning the wound with practiced efficiency. The gunfire started 3 minutes later. The sound cracked through the forest like thunder, plasma rifles, at least 4 of them, maybe more. The cub's ears flattened against its skull and it released a high-pitched distress call that Anna felt in her bones. Somewhere in that direction, the cub's pack was under attack. Protocol was clear. Retreat to the station, call for help. Let the Calthrine handle their own affairs. Humanity's presence on Vex 7 depended on non-interference. Anna looked down at the cub trembling against her chest. Its distress call grew more desperate. "Jack, come in," she said, tapping her comm unit as she sealed the cub's wound with synthetic skin. "Jack, I need immediate backup at my location. Hostile contact, multiple shooters, static." The comm crackled once, then died. Jammed. Another volley of gunfire echoed through the trees, closer now. Anna heard screams, deep roaring voices cut short. The cub struggled weakly in her arms, trying to crawl toward the sound. Every rational thought in Anna's head screamed at her to run the other way. Humans weren't warriors like the Calthrine. They weren't built for combat. They were scientists, researchers, survivors through cleverness and caution. The cub whimpered once more, its claws digging into her jacket. Anna was already running toward the gunfire. She crashed through the undergrowth. The cub clutched against her chest with one arm while her other hand drew the small plasma pistol from her belt. Standard issue. Meant for predatory wildlife, not combat. Her lungs burned. Her legs screamed. She kept running. The clearing opened before her like a wound in the forest. 4 figures in unmarked armor stood over 3 fallen Calthrine adults. Their weapons trained on a 5th, a female, wounded, backed against a rock formation. Poachers. The galaxy's scum, hunting sentient beings for sport or profit. Anna didn't think. She fired. Her first shot took one poacher in the knee. He went down screaming. The others spun toward her, and Anna threw herself behind a tree as return fire scorched the bark where her head had been. The cub yowled and she tucked it deeper into her jacket. "Human," one of the poachers shouted in heavily accented standard. "Walk away! This doesn't concern your kind." Anna's response was another plasma bolt that forced them into cover. She was outgunned, outmatched, and absolutely out of her mind. But the wounded Calthrine mother was still alive, and that cub deserved to have a family. The firefight lasted 17 seconds. Anna moved like something possessed, using every scrap of cover, firing and repositioning before they could track her. She wasn't a soldier, but she'd grown up hunting in Alaska's wilderness with her father. She knew how to read terrain, how to make herself a ghost, how to make every shot count. When the 4th poacher fell, she was out of ammunition and bleeding from a graze across her ribs. The clearing fell silent except for her ragged breathing. The Calthrine mother stared at her, golden eyes wide with something Anna couldn't quite read. The cub squirmed free from Anna's jacket and stumbled across the blood-stained grass toward its mother, crying out in relief. "Anna!" Jack's voice exploded from her comm as whatever jamming field collapsed. "Anna, respond. I'm tracking your signal. What the hell happened?" "Later," Anna gasped, pressing a hand to her bleeding side. "Bring medical." "Lots of medical." The Calthrine mother made a sound deep in her throat, a rumble that vibrated through the air. She lowered her massive head toward Anna, who stood frozen as the predator's hot breath washed over her face. Then the mother pressed her forehead against Anna's, a gesture Anna had seen only in the most sacred Calthrine ceremonies. Recognition, honor, debt. When Jack arrived with the security team 7 minutes later, he found Anna sitting against a tree, the cub curled in her lap while its mother stood guard over them both. The poachers were secured, the wounded were stabilized, and Anna was crying quietly into the cub's silver fur. "You absolute maniac," Jack breathed, dropping beside her. "You ran toward the guns." Anna looked up at him, tears streaking through the dirt on her face. "The cub whimpered," she said simply, as if that explained everything. To Jack, to the Calthrine, to anyone who understood what it meant to be human. It did. Humans didn't run toward danger because they were fearless. They ran because something small and helpless needed them, and that was simply what humans did. Even when it was stupid, especially when it was stupid, the galaxy's predators hunted for honor and survival. Humans protected, even when it made no sense at all.